welcome everyone, and welcome back to Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross. My guest today has lived all over the world, from France to the UK to New Zealand, and now she's living a vibrant life right here in Florida, in the United States in Florida. At the age of 24, she was diagnosed with hepatitis, and if that wasn't bad enough, the doctors told her that there was nothing that they can do for her. And then she had a friend that was diagnosed with HIV. And again, not much they can do, but she knew there had to be something else out there. So MarieHelene Roussel is joining us today to tell you about her journey from adversity to vibrant living. And I want to welcome on right now, MarieHelene. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. And it's the first time that I see your commercial, let's say, before the show. Wow, that brings a big smile to my face, because obviously there are dolphins and like really promoting self-care as essential part for all of us, including even for our business. I mean, I think that really health is priceless and the most important thing in life. So again, thank you so much for inviting me and having me on your show. It's really a pleasure to be here with you today.
Thank you. And I appreciate that. Yeah, self-care to me and mindfulness, it's the core of everything. I mean, whether it's professional, yourself, business, relationships, it really is the core. And I am so happy for you that you're willing to share your story with you. Maybe you can explain to people a little bit more about what that was like. I mean, because that had to be devastating at 24 to be told that, and kind of your journey of how you got to where you are.
I look at it as, at times in life, we need what I call the wake-up calls. And at 24, yes, I was not having a healthy lifestyle, and like a 24 in those days. It was not drugs, sex, and rock and roll, but without the drug, there was too much alcohol, and yeah, not being healthy on all levels. And yes, I was really strong. I had a very strong constitution. I think that really helped me tremendously. But the hepatitis really put me down. And when obviously hearing from the doctors, and at that time, for me, it was only doctors who could help you with your health. And when you're being told there's absolutely nothing that we can do for you, and not only that, but afterwards being given some medication that was not appropriate, basically that combined with the hepatitis created a really, really bad skin, a lot of more problem with my liver. And when my dearest friends were diagnosed with HIV positive, and that in those days, again, it was, I was living in England at the time, and every 5 minutes on television, there was this grave falling down with AIDS written on it. So therefore, it was really the whole conditioning. If you're diagnosed with HIV positive, you're going to die. And I don't know exactly the reason why, but when I started on my journey, because after having my second or third really bad experience with doctor, I decided that's it for me. I will find another way. And I started researching. And funny enough, I started with something that was more about the mind and the conditioning, as I started with breath therapy called rebirthing and underwater births, and my mentor at the time had this amazing theory that if in 2 generations, if all babies were born underwater, were born naturally without having any of the trauma of birth that is experienced in hospital or things like that, that we could change the world, that the world could be at peace. And that's a pretty fascinating and amazing theory. And so I worked with her, was trained by her for 4 years, and I worked with her for 10 years. And the meantime, obviously, that's not all. It's like, it's when I started discovering the world of holistic health and personal development and spirituality. I think that I was like a kid in a candy store, you know.
I know the feeling. I've done
Yeah,
similar things where I'm like, I've had bad experiences from medications, side effects, and then this whole world of holistic health. I'm like, and to find out that a lot of this has been around for like hundreds of years, and you wonder what took us so long to kind of try and go back to that or even embrace it, because we get so caught up in that system. But
yes,
yeah.
yes, absolutely. I know that when we talked privately, we have a lot of things in common, and it was. I can't even tell you all the different modalities that I learned, that I trained with, and that I practiced also along the way. But I think that all along the most important, and from day one, when I started this training as a rebirther, I I also started looking into nutrition and lifestyle. And obviously, when we talk lifestyle, the mindset and all the conditioning and the traumas of all sorts have such an impact on health and wellness that I never know what comes first, what you need to address first. But I think that whatever you start with, you need to address the whole, and you need to really go through the whole cycle of everything that needs to be addressed when you want to have optimal health. And
Mhm.
I um, um, it's only, and so I even, part of that training, actually, that's how I was introduced to the dolphins, and that it was a love at first sight, and that I run for 12 years part-time, obviously not all the time, but part-time I was working as a therapist, and part-time I was running some retreats where I would take people for a week at a time to have an experience with wild dolphins, and at the same time educate them about nutrition, about meditation, about all the various form of body work. And also, obviously, when you're on a boat, you can't really do a lot of yoga, but um, there's something about nature. Uh, there's something the Japanese call the uh, forest bathing. And I know that the first time I heard that, I thought, yes, definitely. But also, being at sea is as much powerful. I'm not going to compare it. Let's say that
Yeah.
it's as powerful. And being at sea, even at times when we had like, um, that when the dolphins are wild, they are not like waiting for you. They come when they want, and they are ready when they want. So you have to experience all the up and downs of that. But at the same time, already to be at sea, to be in nature, and always brought a lot of healing for people, like always. Um, but I would say that, it felt like all along in this whole journey, that it always felt like there must be something more, there must be something more, there must be something more. And I what brought me to the US from New Zealand via England. It's like Paris, UK, New
Yeah.
Zealand, and the US. It's actually meeting an energetic healer who was also very, very knowledgeable in nutrition, and who helped my husband at some point when he had one of his health crises. And when I saw what this man could do, it was like energy was always something that fascinated me. And when I saw what he could do, I actually asked him to train me, if he would be willing to train me. And that's how we moved to the US, because I told my husband, I said, I really want to be trained and work with this person. And for that, we need to move to the US. And also, it may have been time for us to move from, we were living on a very steep land overlooking the Pacific Ocean in the bush, and my husband had to have a very drastic spinal surgery, lower back spinal surgery. And obviously, we needed to adjust the way that we were living. It was not, we couldn't really afford living in the wilderness of New Zealand anymore. So that's how I came to the US. And
Yeah, I think everybody, sometimes we just kind of need that environment change or a little bit of shakeup. Sometimes it's not so drastic, but yeah, definitely. I can relate to needing a different environment change. I've gone through that myself.
yes, and it's that environment change allows you to even, I was going to say, to adopt a new identity, but at times you nearly feel like this. It feels like at times that I've had a few life in this life. And so being trained and working with people, with energy healing and the nutrition, was on one hand very rewarding, and at times also very nearly traumatic, because we were helping people who had done everything, been everywhere, and who were kind of their last option, let's say. And so at times very rewarding, but at times also a little bit heartbreaking, because no matter how good somebody is at energy healing, they stand that when it's not, when it's their time, it's their time also. And then when I felt like it was time to move on, in the US, yes, like for nutrition and lifestyle, and even all the other modalities, that I've learned before and that I practiced before, in other countries, it was a lot more relaxed when it comes to certifications. And also, I truly believe that if you want to stay young, you need to not work only at your muscles, but you need to work also at your brain. And going back to school is a good way to keep young and to keep learning. And I think
I always
also,
say, if you stop learning, you stop growing. So, and there are
yes,
so many things out there that, I learn stuff from every time I meet new people and new things, different modalities from different areas. I mean, there is so much out there to learn.
I know I have to kind of refrain myself, because I could be I could be jumping from one course to the other, and at times, I have to kind of pull myself back, say, no, 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 no. Now you implement. You not only just learn, but also use what you're learning, because at the end of the day, we're doing that because we want to help people, and we want to be able to guide people with what we've learned and we've experienced, for them to experience the best life that they can. So I went back to school and I became certified in functional nutrition and lifestyle. And I went really to a brilliant school where I met the most amazing people. And I'm really still really different, and I'm working with many of my colleagues that will come later. And also in bioenergetic, because again, like energy is really a fascination for me. And also in emotional freedom technique, to have something that I could use to help people with their mindset and with their blocks and conditioning, that I could use online also, because obviously, I mean, at that time, not only, when COVID happened, but even before that, I really just wanted to work online. It was time, when you go through the whole cycle of when I was young and doing body work, at some point I was having my massage table in my bedroom, and mm, don't want to do that anymore. So working online is absolutely perfect. And also, even with the working with the energy healing, we were working remotely always, because we were working, globally with people all over the world. So
Yeah,
um,
and it's amazing that you can do that. I had a gentleman on recently, about scalar energy, how that can just go across the globe. It's not just, within the vicinity. And really, we're all energy, and vibrations. And we don't think of ourselves, we don't talk about ourselves in that way, but it is a big part of, the healing process and what goes on and how we react to things.
totally, totally. And I am thrilled to see nowadays that Reiki is something common. I mean, you can't be telling anybody that you're a Reiki practitioner without people looking at you as, wow, this person is really weird. And, you know,
There are
I
some
did
people refer to it as voodoo.
it.
That's
I
like,
mean, I
okay.
did Reiki 30 years ago. That was another, when you were telling people, yes, I can, send you energy and help you with your body to heal itself remotely, just by even give me your name. And that was really looked down as something really weird in those days. And
Yeah.
it's really great to see the evolution and what's happening now, as it feels like more and more. I mean, you can talk about healing with light, you can talk about healing remotely, you can talk about that, yes, your body can heal itself from pretty much anything, as long as you remove what created the problem, and if you add what it needs as a support to do the healing that it was divinely created to be able to do. So it's great to see that so many things are happening and popping all over the world, and it's a great satisfaction. That great
Yeah.
satisfaction.
And I know you and I have, like you said, have talked personally. We have a lot in common. You and I are both kind of driven by trying to help our loved ones. And I know we're going to go into more detail after the break. But before we go to the break, what we're going to be talking about, you feel saved your husband's life. What was going on with your husband at the time?
Um, he Now, just to tell you briefly about my husband, he in his young days he was quite reckless, in the sense that he was very, very strong. And so he had like car accident, bike accident, ski accident. Not that he was clumsy or anything like that, but he was a bit crazy when it comes to pushing himself sport wise and doing some crazy stuff. So he had a lot of uh, broken bone and accident and concussion, etc., etc. And when you arrive at 80 years old, even though he has no choice, that his nutrition and his lifestyle are top notch, he lives with me. When at the age of 80, he was suffering from fainting spells that were followed by cluster headaches. And when I say cluster headache, they were like really, really severe. Like, out of 0 to 10, they will jump at a 20, and that will go on for a month at a time. And then he could get a little relief of a week, and then it will start again. And for 2 years, I researched. Obviously, it's like, first of all, I tried everything that I knew, and nothing worked, or even some form of body work. Like, we have an excellent chiropractor, for instance, and it will give him a little bit of relief, but it will start again. And we never knew when it could start again. And we tried stem cell injection, exosome, that is supposedly even the upper notch of the stem cell, PRP, and neurofeedback, and various form of body work that I had researched and that were supposedly helping him. It's like I knew what was going on with him. In my words, is that the function of his vagus nerve was stuck into beyond the fight and flight. There is these two other function of freeze or faint. And it's as if that was locked in that mode. And no matter even like all the vagus nerve activation that we did, or that I did for him, etc., it was not working until the day that a dear friend of ours, we actually knew each other from our little village in New Zealand 25 years ago. And so the beauty how life works, because from that little village, 300 inhabitants, in full summer, they had moved also to the US. And because of COVID, they had started working online. So I reconnected with them online. And at some point, when I told her what was going on with my husband, she told me of her story of having had degenerative disc, being in excruciating pain, same thing, being told by doctors that they couldn't do anything for her, that even stem cell injection would not work. And from a very vibrant, very, active woman, she was in a wheelchair. And so when she told me of a technology, a wearable technology that has no possible side effects, that works with the light of your body and to activate your body's own ability to heal itself, when she told me that these little patches in this, like little like this, they actually like saved her life. And not only that, but the pain stopped for her after 30 minutes of applying them at a webinar. And then the healing was starting to happen. So I thought, what the heck? I've never heard about it, but let's try. And I ordered the patches, and even I ordered some more when my husband was having a headache coming up. And 3 days after starting using these patches, I applied them intuitively where it felt like that's where it was appropriate. And at the time, he was on his third day of headache, and the headache level was at about a 7. And we sat there, 20 minutes later, I am the one. And I know I always tell it like that because it's always fascinating how when people are in pain, they will tell you, but when the pain decreases, they don't tell you. So it's like I had to be the one asking him 20 minutes later, how are you feeling?
No, and sometimes they don't tell you when they're in pain either, because they just keep getting used to it and accept it as normal. And
Yes.
so I know, we want to definitely hear the results and what you've done, but we're going to have to take a quick break. So hang with us because it really is fascinating what you found to help your husband. So we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Sarah Stockham, and I'm host of Simply Sarah. Join me Thursdays at 3 p.m. Pacific on the Achieve TV network for the best energetic tools to elevate your amazing life right here on E360 TV.
And we are back. So you were saying your husband's used to have these debilitating, and I would say debilitating. I've had some horrible headaches, but not to that degree. Used to be off the chart to 20, but at this time it was, you said, down to about a 7 when it was at the 7 when you put the patches on him?
Yes, and it actually, like, when he looked at me in disbelief, he said, "Oh my goodness, it's down to about a 3." And again, we didn't even want to jinx it. We were happy, obviously, any little bit, even if it was one evening of relief, we take it, but we didn't want to jinx it. But that night he slept, which was also a problem, because obviously when you're in so much pain, you don't sleep well. That's not possible. He slept well, and the next morning he didn't have a headache. And that was it for his cluster headaches. And it will be 3 years at the end of September.
Nice. Very nice.
So we're pretty much safe to be able to say that, this is gone. And I'm not saying, one headache once in a while, if you're not hydrated enough or things like that, that's fine. And that really gave him his life back, because he was desperate. He didn't have any more quality of life. And the I know that that's the miracle moment with this technology for him. But also the amazing part is that when 7 months later, when he went for his annual, and remember, he's 80 years old at the time. Yeah, 80 going on 81. And when he went to the doctor to have his annual, the doctor, with the result, the doctor called him up and said, "What have you been doing? Your results are better than they've ever been. It's like you look like a 20-year-old, And we know what it was. It was these patches that, like mostly even the X39 that I have here, that is activating your body to produce younger and healthier stem cells, resets 4,200 genes to a healthier state, and does everything that stem cell is the building block of all health and repair and regeneration and growth and wound healing and cognitive function and energy, etc., etc. And so, after having that miracle moment, I dug into the science, and I got really impressed with the science. I got very impressed with the CEO, and I got very impressed with the community also and the way that it's being run. And from someone that had never been able to sell anything, I could offer my services, but selling a product, for whatever reason, I was never good at it. But this is so unique that it was easy. And when I started telling also my colleague in functional nutrition and lifestyle, it took off from there, because they all had, or a parent or a loved one, or even themselves, because a lot of us, when we get into the holistic health, like me, it's for a reason that we need to help with healing ourselves. And it took off from there, and I moved into working mostly, and actually only most times, with Lifewave. So shall I tell you a little bit more how it works?
Yeah, please do. Because, like you said, to me, it's not necessarily, selling. Different things work for different people. This might work for some, it might not work for others. But like you, if I have tried something and I have seen the change, and you even have a doctor saying, "What have you done?" So, things are obviously, working for me. And to me, it's just having information to share with people. It's either for 'em or it's not, but you can't fix things when you don't know about other things that are out there to possibly fix. And like you said, this is not a drug. There's no side effects. And so, yeah, please share us a little bit more about the science and how that actually works and works with our body.
Well, this little patch has a nanocrystalline compound in the middle that is imprinted with a frequency. That's, the easiest way to explain it. And this frequency gets activated, like even right now, just by holding it, it gets activated. Even if I could, like, if it was at 4 to 6 inches of my body, it gets activated by the infrared heat, the light that we emit, and that all living creatures, and including also the animals and the plants, emit. So that gets activated, and then that frequency get the signal to the brain to produce various peptides, various amino acids, various antioxidants, according to what patch you are holding or wearing, or applying on yourself. And so the hero product, the holy grail of the patches, is a patch that we call X39. It's a little bit science fiction name, that the patch activates the body to produce a peptide called GHKCU, that is a copper binding peptide, that in turn, by biochemical chain reaction, will reset 4,200 genes to a healthier and younger state, will rebalance all your gut amino acid, and at the end of that chain will activate your body to produce younger and healthier stem cells. So when we think, the bad news is that the stem cell production start declining at the age of 25, and that, like by the age of 60, if you're healthy, you still have lost about 60% of your stem cell production. We found that now, with the whole toxicity, and when I'm talking toxicity in the world, I'm talking also that, with all the anxiety, the stress, and so on, that's toxicity. Even some much younger people are not producing the amount of stem cell that they should.
Right.
And so that's why we call it the Holy Grail, because that covers really the whole spectrum of health and wellness, as well as going into age reversal. So, the benefits, there is like, yes, obviously the pain relief, like it was for my husband. But again, it's the pain relief that is not a band-aid, because at the same time as the pain relief, the healing at a very, very deep level is starting at the same time. So it's between pain relief, more energy, better sleep, better skin, better hair, longer nails. I mean, I'm not somebody who like to go to the hairdresser often, as you can see, and it's like now my hair is growing too fast for, I mean, I won't complain, but so
So some people don't have as much hair
that's,
by,
that's a
then. So,
nice thing to complain about. It's great for hairdressers.
yeah.
um, but it goes so much deeper, because it will also address the wounds, the scars, and like, for instance, pain can be created by an internal scar. And so when we see even like pictures of how much faster, like if you go through surgery, how much faster you will heal. And when you see the healing of the external scar, you know also that it's happening on the inside. And that's really, really what is important. So I know that, for instance, I have a dear friend a few days ago who had a really bad fall and broke her femur and also like part of her kneecap. And she's in hospital. Number one, her surgery was supposed to take 2 hours. It took only 1 hour. And she's patched up to the max, because she's also one of my ladies and dear friend. And uh, she hasn't been, since the surgery, she doesn't want to take the strong painkillers because she knows the side effects. Thanks to the patches, she has been able to only take one Tylenol a day instead of being on something like really, really heavy.
Oh, yeah.
Because, and so, yes, she sent me her pictures, because we were discussing even, where to put the patches. But so from that to a dear friend of mine who had damaged her knee running marathon. And, it's like, when you have a passion for whatever, swimming, playing golf, or doing yoga, running marathon, and because of an injury that you feel like your life as a marathon runner, for instance, is over, and then you start using these patches for 3 months and you can start training again. And last year or 2 years ago, that she even like was third in her age group in a marathon that she ran in the jungle in Kenya.
Oh, wow.
So it's, the beauty of being able to give people their life back. For me, that's like the biggest reward possible.
Or even to give them relief, and true relief without all the brain fog. I've had surgeries myself too, and one of the first things they do is give you like Tylenol and Oxy, and
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, no.
yeah, totally. And
Oh. All right. We had a little bit of a power glitch there, but we got it under control, I think, now. So MarieHelene, please continue.
yes, I don't have any storm, and actually what it makes me think about is that the beauty also of this patch is that it's self-powered. So you don't depend on any external electricity.
A very good point.
That can become very, very uh, uh, amazing, actually, and fantastic. Like, when we had the hurricane last year. So, but yes, it's also whenever people are talking about light therapy, whenever I mention that it works with photolight therapy, people start thinking of a machine. And again, it's like when it's something that you wear that is self-powered, that you can also like apply on your pet to help your animals, that you can apply on your plants also to help your plants. It goes, there's so much more, that an extra dimension to it than when you're, I don't like to be depending on the machine, obviously, like, laptop included. um, and so this is really, it feels for me like the holistic of the holistics, the ultimate of the holistics. I'm not saying that that's the only thing out there, obviously. Like, I still use some supplements, and I go to my chiropractor, and I will always experiment even with other modalities. But what got my passion going also with this, not, yes, obviously, to see so many results and all the benefits that it can bring to people, but also when you are working as a functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioner, you have people coming to you who can be completely depleted, and they've tried many things, it didn't work, and therefore they do not want to add one more thing, or more often to remove one more thing, like from their diet or anything like that. And I've had many times the opportunity of witnessing, as well as many of my friends and some doctors also, um, to witness that when somebody is completely depleted, by having them use these patches first, then they get enough of the cellular energy, not the caffeinated, like fidgety, have a surge and a big crush energy, but the enough cellular energy to feel that, oh, well, I can drink some more water. That's not too difficult. When before that, possibly it would be, even that would be too much for them. So I always say that for me, as a practitioner, it can be the best addition to a health regimen, or it can be the best spark that will give people enough of the um, physical, mental, emotional, and even spiritual energy to do what it takes for them to recover completely their health. So that's in that sense that I love to tell everyone about it, because you never know also what happens in life, and obviously, and and
Always
also
throwing us curves, isn't it?
yes, and also that I found that the community that, I mean, my team and even my larger team, we are a community of pretty awesome people, where there is a lot of help and support with each other, and I've seen some of my ex client um, becoming involved and using the patches. Like, another example, somebody who became a dear friend, who was supposed to have a glutathione injection once a week for $390. And when the place that had created the problem, the school that she was working at, had mold. And so she had mold infection, and that she needed to do that glutathione IV,
Mhm.
couldn't afford it because she had to quit her job.
Right.
And when I turned around to the patches, number one, she felt a greater result with the patch, with her glutathione level, etc. And about a third of the price for a month's supply, or more than a month's supply. And she even like also working the business with me, so it gave her health back as well as a job. So that was also pretty awesome, to be able
Well, and
to.
it's awesome to be able to have, not just a business to help support your lifestyle, but to have something that helps people and that you're passionate about. You've seen the results for yourself. Like we said, doesn't always work for everybody, but but yeah, I mean, it's a good thing to have that, to do something that you enjoy and that you're passionate about. Doesn't make it a job. It's just a
Totally,
wonderful way of living in a whole different lifestyle, to
totally,
be able to do that.
totally. And that I can only stand by something that I truly believe in, and that I know that it works. I know the science. I know that there's no side effects, and I've seen over and over again that for so many people, yes, there is the physical healing, but it goes deeper than that. It goes into a deeper area of healing, and it brings what I call the optimal human being, the optimal health and well-being, where you feel like you can live your optimal life. And I've seen so many people that could come for, if it's for pain, or some people just come for uh, just in general, and then they discover that there's a whole dimension that they are reaching that they were not even aware of. And that's really beautiful. That's the biggest reward for me, again, being
Oh yeah.
able to help people at that level.
And I know we've shared the site, where people can take a look at those patches and contact you from there. But this is also your website, so that would also be another good place for people to
Yes,
connect with
that's
you.
also a good place. And also in this website, the holisticwellnessmhr.com, you get also my phone number, my email address, and there is an explanation about Lifewave as well, and some other products, that I use, that I stand by also. But mostly, yeah, you can therefore reach out to me from that website.
Yeah. And as you can tell, Marie-Helene, she's a wealth of information, very passionate about what she does. So what's on the horizon for you? I'm sure you're not done learning or exploring things. So,
Ah, well, um, yes, and um, part of wanting to become better at, um, when you're so passionate about something like this, you want to have better tools, better way of sharing it with others. So I became part of two mentorship actually. One that is about learning more about being an entrepreneur and learning more about the network marketing business model. But it's also a lot more than that. It's again dealing with the mindset, and again, by me becoming a better person on all level to be able to help people better. And so, like for instance, in a week and a half, I'm going to an amazing conference in Orlando that is called Faith Over Fear Business Summit, where it will be also, way of connecting and being with other people who share the same values as me. And that's very important, also to have this kind of community. So, it's more of what I do now, and also working with my team, to be able to support and be supported by an amazing team of fantastic people who all become really dear friends. It's like nearly the ideal life and ideal work all in one. So
Definitely. You have had such a journey and an adventure. Have you written a book or have you thought about writing a book?
no, you're the second
No.
person in not so long who is telling me, my goodness, you need to write a book.
Just curious. I had people tell me a lot, of the same thing. And I'm thinking, what do I have to tell people? But, your journey and your story and the things you've been through, I think would really resonate with people. I did finally write a chapter. So I am a chapter in a book, but I haven't sat down to write a book. But also some people, I mean, other than to just share, some people, it's kind of a healing or a liberating experience as well. Not to mention I know it's kind of torturous when you're actually writing it, but when you're done, I was just
yeah,
wondering if it was on the horizon for you.
well, at this stage in my life, I never say never, or I never say no to anything, because I'm open. I'm open to whatever life will bring, or if one morning I wake up with thinking, I have to write this book because it can help other people, why not? You will be the first one to know, Laura.
And I look forward to keeping in touch with you
Me
and
too.
trying that out myself because you know me, I always love to try different things, like you said. But as you and I had to discuss too, when you're trying to fix things, you want to try things one at a time. I know it's a little bit of a slower pace, but if you throw a bunch of things at it, then you're really not sure what actually helped you or what made it better.
Yes, totally. Yeah, totally. And in one thing that also, when you ask me, um, the um, with this technology, it makes me feel a lot safer for my future and for the future of my husband. He is 84 at the end of this year, and I'm turning 68 at the end of this year. And I want my quality of life. It's not only the lengths. Yes, of course, as long as possible, but as long as possible with full quality of life. I want to be at 90 feeling and being as good as I am now, or maybe even better. So
Well, I will say that you look absolutely beautiful for someone that is 68. And I want to thank you for taking the time to join us today and sharing your journey with everybody. I do truly appreciate that.
thank you. My pleasure.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We are out of time for today. We will see you next week. And remember to be there and be mindful.